time. I be the man that lasts in the suckers. I be the man that run the suckers. You know you cocksuckers. I'm the man that's drinking the vanilla. Crown Royal feeling real smooth. Dude, attitudes be changing left and right. I ain't talking about nothing coming off the top of the brain. I'm feeling like insane podcast. Unpredictable like mystical. We doing that thing. We bang. Easy breezy. Back in Hawaii. Loving what I gotta do to make it you like me. Steve, huh? Alexandria. I don't wanna mess with anybody. Look, I'm the man in the game.
Just trying to get stuff situated.
But no, you good, man. You good. Yeah, my bad, man. Like my day's been crazy. Just trying to get all my clients done on time and out of the shop. So finally, my last one, I just got done. I just got done with his head. So like now I'm good. Now I'm good. I can actually just
Yeah,
sit
so
and I can talk.
you cut hair, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a barber now. Man, it's like for the last like 5 years.
Damn. Officially or unofficially?
Yeah.
Or a combination of both?
Oh, officially. So like I was I was one for like 10 years prior. That was the unofficial because I couldn't go to school because I was in the military. But then once I got out, then I went to school and then made that official.
Gotcha. All right, I'm gonna just start the podcast and where we'll go. Yo, welcome to another episode of Unpredictable Thoughts Podcast. Your boy Trouble's in the building, doing the damn thing, ain't doing anything at all. I'm gonna give a shout out to everybody that listened to the last podcast and everybody that supported the movement thus far, and keep that same energy. Merch, we're in the building. If you want to support or just get any merch, unpredictablethoughts2.com. We got Mr. Theo the Leo in the building, Theo Brown. Met him. Well, I haven't really met him, but seen him on Clubhouse.
And, Clubhouse streets.
Yeah, these Clubhouse streets. I haven't really been on like that too much now. What about yourself?
Me either, man. Like probably after, I want to say after like March, I was kind of like,
Went downhill.
I'm kind of burned out on Clubhouse. Yeah, I was kind of just like, it seems to be the same rooms all the time. Ain't nothing really new getting talked about, but I'm about to release something. So I was like, well, let me get back on there, at least get some sort of pattern going. That way I can release it and then go on Clubhouse, talk about it, and then see if I can get some, some feedback from there. So that's kind of been my thing right now. But as far as like, I used to be on like all the time, but now it's kind of like, I'll probably do 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, but it's not consistently like what it was like 6 months ago. So yeah,
and then like the room, because it's all based on algorithms. So like the rooms that I kept on finding myself getting into, but I would hurry up and get out. It would just be like relationship rooms. I'm like, I get tired of like this man bashing, this woman bashing thing. Those
right.
Because
it was either like the battle of the sexes or the race rooms, and it's kind of like at some point it gets played out to the point where it's like, okay, it's the same people in the same rooms talking about literally the same thing, and it hasn't changed the conversation. Nobody's done anything different. It hasn't moved the conversation forward. It's still the same people doing that. So it's kind of like, no, like there's no need to even join these rooms. So
yeah. And then I came across your page on the vets page, the military vets page, which I found. I'm glad I found. However, that got drowned out very quickly. And I guess just me being proud of my skin and who I am as a person. I'm really looking for our Black military veteran rooms, which are very, very hard to find.
Right. I mean, I don't even think they exist yet. Just because it feels like once you start a room like that, then it's kind of like, oh, now you're trying to desegregate the military culture for what it is. Because like the military prides itself on not being segregated, even though
we know what it really is, though.
It is. Right. And it's kind of like, let's be real. Like, you might want to put up a front like it's not, but in reality, it is. Like, it wasn't just that long ago that they integrated.
Yeah, that's true, and it's not like it's a bad thing that like we just had different experiences being African American, just being black in the military. Like it's a culture thing. Like being in the military is really a subculture of being black, you know. So it's just like, okay, you black now. Okay, you're black in the military. Okay, cool. Let's go into that. You know, you on mute. Your thing is on mute.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad. Yeah, it is a whole different culture, because it's like our experiences are not going to be the same as somebody else with a different color skin, right?
Yeah.
And as much as you would like to believe that, no, it was, it was, no, it really wasn't. I mean, from the simple acts of just shaving, right? Like let's just go to that part. Let's just put it what it is, right? It's like, we all know that black military folk can't shave all the time because they break out. So we all also know that they're the ones with the no shaving profiles, right?
Mm.
So that experience is already different. It's an everyday thing that most men do in the military, shave. But now you already know that this is going to be a different experience for me, because my hair doesn't grow like yours. So you can't hold me to the same standard as somebody else that, just because everybody's hair grows that way. You got to understand that there is no cure, right? In the military, there's no prescription in the military to get rid of the bumps. But we also know that shaving is a requirement.
Yeah.
And so that's already going to be different, right? So now you show up to formation with a 5 o'clock shadow, and you're probably like one of the few, black soldiers or, black military members in that area, or like in that unit. And now it's a problem, because they think you should have shaved, while you understand that I can't shave every day like you. Even though I got a stubble, this is as close as I can get without breaking out.
Yeah.
So now you're already running into a problem of, oh, so now you want to clap back. Oh, so now you want to talk back. Oh, so now you're out of regs. Oh, so now let's add some punishment to this.
Yeah.
Oh, so now you start, like, just from that simple little thing, right? It escalates, right? And so now it's like, oh, now I have to go to sick hall to get a special permission that I'm always going to be asked about, no matter where I go in uniform. I got to carry this piece of paper on me saying I have a shaving profile. I don't have to shave every day because I got a 5 o'clock shadow. So now this thing is on me every day, right? So which means that at any time I go to brigade, or anytime I go to a higher office, I'm going to get questioned. Why haven't you shaved? Oh, I'm on a no shaving profile. Well, why is that? Because I am. So now you're having to explain yourself on a smaller level, because this is literally what this was my experience, right?
Yeah, I
And
went through
now
the
I have to
same
explain
thing.
myself. This is exactly
Yeah,
right.
that's
And
why I
so
got
I'm
all
the
these
only
scars
NCO
now.
right?
I got scars now,
Right?
trying to appease them and not having the knowledge of like, yo, your hair don't grow like everybody else. You have coarse curly. I didn't know that until like 25, like 24, 25, because you out here drinking the goddamn Kool-Aid. Drinking
Right,
the
exactly. And
goddamn
so
Kool-Aid.
exactly. And so now you understand, like, it's like, oh, okay. So now you start to see a significant difference as into what our experiences really is. And for some, it's gonna be like, well, it doesn't matter. You're in the military, you're supposed to abide by that. Okay, that's cool. In in a perfect world, but this ain't a perfect military, or this ain't a perfect world. So my health condition is gonna be different than yours. My understanding of the rules and regulations is gonna be different because of my hair. Let's just face that, because now it's like, while somebody else can rock 3 inches, if I grow 3 inches of hair, I got a fro. My PC don't fit.
Yeah.
So now it's just like the small little experiences. So like that's what I mean by like most people won't understand that there's a significant difference on the smaller level because they're going to try to look at the bigger picture, and which is fine. You can if you want to, but when you look at the
You
subculture
can't.
of the military, it's kind of
Everything
like
can't be bigger. You have to look at those details. Like I'm on my second go around of this book with Michael Gladwell called the Tipping Point or whatnot, and it's basically saying like, look, you know, I guess the prime example would have been like the crime spree in New York back in the day, right? And it was like this broken window theory of like if you go in the neighborhood and the window's broken and it stayed broken, it's chances, it's small chances. We I don't know percentage, but it's chances enough that okay, if that window stay broken, other things will start to come into play. Versus
correct.
Okay, if that window was broken and got fixed the next day, it'd be considered.
It'd be different.
Yeah, it would just say it'd be different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. And for those that's listening, yeah, I do audio books. So audio books. So Michael Gladwell, the Tipping Point. So for those that's listening, he is in the military. Theo is in the military. He did his time in the Marine Corps. And what really struck me is because for those that have been following me, he's done it. He's done what I'm about to do, which is go from the Marine Corps to the Army. So
Yeah.
so let's get
That's gonna be
into
culture
it.
shock.
Yeah. So before that, so what made you join the Corps and what made you get out? Like, what do something quick like that?
So, man, like I've always wanted to join the Marine Corps. You know, as a kid, I didn't know what the Marine Corps. So first and foremost, I'm not American, so I'm not from here. So I didn't grow up watching American military movies. I didn't grow up seeing uniforms. I came to the United States in 1994 due to the genocide that happened in my country. So originally I'm from Rwanda, Africa, right?
Oh wow!
And so, right, and so my experience with the military was war, right? Growing up, and so coming to America was more like because I was a refugee, so we didn't really see a whole lot of military presence. And so I remember where we lived at. I had somebody join the Marine Corps. This was back in like in 97, 98. And I went to their graduation in Paris Island. And I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. It subconsciously, I was like, that's me. I want to do that because I like the precision. I like the uniforms. I like the whole feel of just like being big and bad. Like it was just right. It was just that. It was just the Marine Corps attitude. That was what attracted me to it. And then moved to a bigger area, starting to see more. And I was like, wow, okay, that's really what I want to do. 9/11 happens, right? I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm like, okay, bet that's it. Now I didn't have my citizenship paperwork, so I couldn't join right after high school. So I had to apply for my green card. My green card took like a long time to come in. So I went to college for like 2 years, and then once my green card came in, and then I joined the Marine Corps. It wasn't what I expected, right? It was not what I expected. I felt like for some reason I felt like I got cheated out of the experience, but it was the right experience.
Your recruiter lied to you or what? Like, what is it?
No. I felt like he told me the truth, but he answered all my questions, but I had to ask the right questions too. And I didn't know what to ask to get the right answers. And so you just go with what you got. Like literally, like I wanted to be a grunt. So I was like, hey, what's it gonna take for me to be a grunt? Oh, you want to be infantry? All right, cool. All you need is 35 on the ASVAB.
Hold on, you panned out.
And you're good. I said, bet. Go to maps, take ASVAB, back in like 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Gunny, I got a 35. All right, cool. In my head, that would like, in my head, I didn't know that you could score higher. Huh? Oh, you good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good.
Or is that
It's
right?
going in and out. It's choppy.
So you can still hear me?
It's choppy right now. Hold on.
Because my connection might be a little bad.
All right, we try it again.
Okay, cool. So in my head, okay, how about now?
Hold on,
Is
folks.
that better?
Yeah,
Is that better or is it still choppy?
it's better. Oop.
All right, bet. How about now?
We still have some latency.
A little bit of latency. Okay.
Just keep it pushing. I'm here.
Hold on. Okay, cool. All right, bet. So in my head, I didn't know there was like that I could go any higher, right? To pass the ASVAB, I just had to pass the ASVAB just to become infantry. So I did that. Boot camp, you know, we're talking about like your ASVAB scores and this. So like I hear somebody is like, yeah, I got a 50. Oh yeah, I got a 70. I'm like, wait, you could score higher than a 35? I was like, oh wow. But again, I asked the question, what does it take to be infantry? He told me. So I can't say he lied to me. It's just that I wish I knew what to ask because I didn't know that you could score higher. But at any rate, I got what I wanted. You know, went to SOY right after boot camp. This was 2006. After SOY got dropped to my unit, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines, which just got deactivated last week.
You started 3-8?
My whole entire Marine Corps career was spent at Camp Lejeune. So I would deploy twice with that unit, or I deployed twice with that unit. And I got out in May of, yeah.
Hold on, Theo. You got some
Yeah,
you got some latency. You got some latency. I'm gonna pause the podcast. I'm gonna pause the podcast and then just get out and then come right back into it.
So I was talking to people in boot camp, and and we're talking about ASVAB scores that I heard somebody say, yeah, I got a 70, I got a 50. I was like, wait, you could get higher than a 35. And so that was kind of more like, so there is more. Like, I didn't do my research because I didn't, I didn't know what to look up.
The recruiter granted what you wanted, basically.
Exactly. So the only thing I knew about the Marine Corps is what the pamphlets told me. It was what the commercials told me. I didn't, this was back in like early 2000s. So I mean, you could Google it and you could do all that, but it's kind of like,
nah, y'all had XGs back then.
back in the age of flip phones, man. Back in the age of flip phones. And so, I mean, like that's literally kind of what it was, man. Like you couldn't really, I mean, you could, but it was just a lot of information, but I didn't know what to look up. And so I just kind of just went with what I saw, what I wanted, and that's and that's what I got. Whenever I got dropped to my unit in the 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines, that's really when I found out what the Marine Corps was like. Like, boot camp doesn't really tell you what the Marine Corps is like until you get to your unit. So, so like back in 06, this was like they had just came back from Ramadi because I got dropped. That boot drop was in October. They had just like about 3 months prior, they had just came back from Ramadi, and this was like at the height of the war in Iraq. So like Ramadi was a hotbed. Like when 3A was there, like it was bad. So got pretty much, for lack of better words, got hazed. But it was great. You grow through it, you learn through it. It was.
The Marine Corps is not a hazing organization. We just train.
It's not. It's just
we
not.
train.
It's just not. We got trained. Let's just say we got battle hardened and trained really, really, really hard
To the best of our ability.
Exactly. Whatever unknown missions we're gonna face, but it worked out because it's like we got deployed to Afghanistan. Well, we went on a MU first, and then we came back, and then we got sent to Afghanistan in early. Man, all my years seem to run together, like 09, no, 08, 09, when there wasn't really a whole lot of Marines in Afghanistan. Like we were like, because the unit that we replaced, they had been there for like 10 months.
Damn.
Like, right, like, like
Marine Corps don't deploy for that long.
No, but there wasn't anybody else to replace them. Like there was nobody else to replace them because the mission still wasn't clear as to what, the Marine Corps like responsibility in Afghanistan or in that part of Afghanistan was. And so like we got to Camp Bastion, when like this was like before Leatherneck got built. So like we showed up and they're like, oh hey, you guys are here. Here you go, we're leaving.
Yeah.
Like, literally like we ripped for maybe about 3 days. That was it. And that was like a quick rundown of, hey, the ammo's over there. Oh, these are the Estonians. Those are the Russians. By the way, this is not our base. It's just the only base that's here. Y'all have fun. Bye. Like, we're kind of like, oh shoot. So what's our mission? So like, it was crazy. So we had, the companies were spread out. We had Lima company was out in Alzad. We were securing Route 1. Our company was Indie company was, and we had Kilo company somewhere out in the mountains. I don't know. Like no, like it was just like we all were everywhere.
Go train.
So,
like
it was just like bye.
Yeah.
And so, but that was like my first taste of combat, man. Like it was terrible. It was hard. Like we lost a lot of guys, and it was one of those things that you really get to understand who you are. You really get to understand who your friends are, like those who will ride or die for you. You know what I'm saying? Like that camaraderie. Like that's when you really get that's when you really get it. Like you don't get it in training. Like you think you get it, but until you're like in combat,
it's a taste of it.
Right.
But y'all really just counting the days because it's 13 weeks. I just got finished the Crucible. That's it.
Right. Like you just get that, but like in combat, you really get to actually know what that feels like, and that was an experience. So after we got back, in 2009, I only had 1 year left. The Marine Corps was doing a whole drawdown, so reenlistment was really, really like, it wasn't gonna happen because like I would have had to reenlist to stay in 3-8, go on another deployment, and then come back and switch out my MOS. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
They be doing too much sometimes.
Right, like I'm not doing that, and so I got out. So as soon as my ETA or like my ES came up, I got out.
Oh, so you ain't do an inter-service transfer?
No, so on my terminal leave, I went and did the paperwork, but I just couldn't sign in. I couldn't sign into the Army until my last day in the Marine Corps. So I had to do like a 24-hour switch over.
Yeah.
Sure enough, as soon as I joined the Army, I went to AIT at Fort Lee because I joined as a supply, as a 92 Alpha. I went from being a grunt to being a pogue, and it was great. And it was amazing.
Hey, I go from being the Pogue to continue being the Pogue. I'm gonna be a 92 Yankee myself. Yeah, 92 Yankee. Yeah.
Yeah, so you would go down to 4 elite. Now, like, I showed up. I didn't have uniforms. I didn't have anything because I literally had just left the Marine Corps like the day before. So I didn't go through what most service transfers do, which is go through like a 30-day in-doc session where you get your uniforms, you learn about the Army. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know jack.
I've been doing this
I
shit
literally,
for 2 years, and I still ain't
bruh,
got nothing.
listen, man, I just showed up to AIT in my jeans and t-shirt with my paperwork in hand, like, I'm here. So I get to the duty desk. They're like, "Oh, you're an MOS transfer." I was like, "Well, I'm a branch transfer, MOS transfer. Here's my paperwork." That, like, the sergeant at the duty desk looked at me like,
What?
this is not supposed to look like this. I said, "What do you mean? Um, where's your uniform at? Do like, where, like, you didn't come from another?" I was like, "No, I literally just left the Marine Corps last week. I'm here." And it was like, "Okay." So I'm going to class. Literally, I'm going to all my classes, all my like I will PT in civilians, which I'll show the formation, get looked at like I'm a weirdo because I'm the only one in civilians and everybody else got like PT gear on. I'm like, all right, but then like I'm going to classes in civilians, and the command sergeant major happened to be in that building the same day. Right now, like I was there for almost 10 days without a uniform. So
Damn.
right, and so I'm outside. I'm about to go into the building, and it was nighttime. And the command sergeant major was like, "Hey, sir, can I help you?" I was like, I'm going to class." She was like, "You're going where?" I was like, I'm going to class, sergeant major." She's like, "You're going to class? Are you in the Army?" I said, "Yes, sergeant major." She was like, who's your platoon sergeant?" I was like, this NCO. So like I had to go get the E6, and sergeant major was like, "Is this a soldier in your class?" He was like, "Yes, sergeant major." Fix it. Sure enough, the next day I went to go get my uniforms issued. I went to go get my uniforms issued, and and that was that for that. Like, I didn't know how to wear a daggone beret. Like, I didn't know how to shape one. I've never wore one. I didn't know that.
We used to that 8-point cover, baby.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just put your cover on and you're good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you're supposed to salute in PTs in the Army. In the Marine Corps, we don't salute in PTs. Like, that's stupid. So I'm getting locked up for like, "Come here, soldier." I'm like, "Yeah, can I help you? Can you not see that I'm a captain?" "Okay, sir. Why didn't you salute me?" "Nobody salutes in PTs." "Where the fuck did you hear that?" I was like, "You're not supposed to salute in PTs."
Yeah.
And I'm getting looked at with like the devil's stare. I'm like, "Are you supposed to salute in PTs?" Now I'm asking him a question, and I'm like, we're having a dialogue that should be happening, but it's happening because it's like I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, and so like it was just those little things that, shoot, the Army song. I don't know. Like, you're sitting there listening to everybody else singing, like, I should probably Google this, right? But then again, I didn't know what regulations to look up. I didn't know where to go look up regulations. Nobody handed me the regs for what is happening in my life. And I literally had to learn that on the fly, and I had to adjust. I had to adjust on the move pretty much my first 24 months in the Army because I didn't know. So after I left AIT, I got orders to Hawaii. I'm like, I've never PCS before because I was always at Camp Lejeune. How do you do that? all right, so did that, got to Hawaii. I'm like, so do I show up in my dress blues, dress greens? What do I do? You know, because in the Marine Corps, you show up to your new command in your greens. Like
Yeah,
that's
alphas.
what you do. Like yeah, your alphas or your Charlie just depend on what they're required to do. Like I just showed up to the duty desk, signed in, and I was part of that unit. Like I'm sitting there, I don't have like they were expecting me, but they weren't expecting me. I was like, oh man, this is happening way too much. Like, does nobody know that they're getting soldiers? Like, is this something that happens all the time? Sure enough, it does happen. So I'm in Hawaii. I sign into the unit. My NCOs, my supposed to be NCOs nowhere to be found because I got there on a Thursday. My NCOs nowhere to be found. Kind of like, shoot, what do I do? So I was a lance corporal in the Marine Corps. Translate that to E3 in the Army, private first class.
Damn.
EFT,
Oh, well, yeah, makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
E3. But you know that in the Marine Corps, lance corporal has more responsibilities than your typical private in the Army.
Yeah.
So I get there, you know, already having 4 years on, 4 years, 2 combat tours. Like I would say I'm mildly seasoned at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been around the block a couple times. Like don't treat me like a fool. Like I'm not that guy. So I get to my unit. My NCO's nowhere to be found. So some other random NCO shows up. He's like, "Hey, Private, come here." I look at him. I'm like, "I know you're not talking to me." I'm like, I have a name. Like I was literally that dude. I was like, you're not going to punk me because you have a higher rank than me. Like don't do that. Like that's a no go at this station. Like don't do that. So like I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, you must be talking. Are you talking to me or are you talking to somebody else? Yeah, Private, I'm talking to you. I was like, oh, so you're one of those. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, he was like, what do you mean? I was like, one of those that always wants to prove that they're in charge. I get it. And he was like, okay. So it was like this awkward exchange.
Yeah, you called him out on his BS.
Right. I was like, I'm not on that. So anyway, I get to my unit. Don't know the first thing about what's going on in Hawaii. Hawaii is a whole different culture. Like the 25th ID is a whole different culture.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful culture, but it's a whole different culture. So get through that. I picked up E5 quickly. Within 24 months, I got promoted to sergeant. Yeah, because it was more so like my work ethic stayed the same. It didn't change. My Marine Corps work ethic.
Because you already knew the game.
Right. I already knew the game. I mean, I didn't know the Army game, but I already knew you work, you PT, you work and you get paid. Like work. Like don't complain, just work. Show up, do what you're supposed to do, work. I've never done supply before, so I didn't know what, but I mean, I learned the system, I learned all that, end up picking up like I picked up specialist pretty quick, picked up sergeant really quick. And we deployed to Afghanistan again. Like it was just everything happened fast. And then once we left Hawaii, I got sent to 3rd ID here, Fort Stewart here in Georgia. I was on an aviation unit, did that. Again, it was just like the same thing almost kept happening. Like, does nobody know that I'm coming? Like, is my name not on the roster anywhere that I'm supposed to show up at some point?
Yeah.
Because nobody seems to know where I belong at. And that seemed to be the story of my military career. Is like, why doesn't anybody understand that I'm supposed to be here? And so like with that, I felt like an imposter often, because it's like, why is it that everywhere I go, it's like a surprise?
Like, yeah.
like I'm just showing up randomly, like. And so it just taught me a lot about literally just
There we go.
like know who you are, know what your mission is mentally, know what your purpose is, because if you don't know, you're always going to be surprised at what happens in your life, and you're never gonna be ready for anything. So like you can't even say, oh, I'm gonna do this tomorrow, because if you are not sure of what or of who you are or what your purpose is, somebody is always going to tell you, and you're always going to fulfill somebody else's mission and forget yours. And so
Ooh.
like that seemed to be the training in the military quite often, is that you're getting told a lot, but nobody's explaining it. Nobody's breaking it down to you, and you're getting told to be here, do this, do that, and then you get there, what was told to you is like the expectation isn't met, because you get told to be here at this time, nobody's there, and you're calling people, you're trying to figure out what's going on, the thing got moved, the information got messed up, and you have to figure out on a move. So, but I realized that that's life. That's rarely do things happen perfectly in life.
Yeah.
And right, and you just got to make those adjustments, man. And so my whole military career, I've made adjustments time after time after time. And then when I got out, that was probably the biggest adjustment, to be honest with you, man. Like,
how many total years of service did you do?
I did 9 years, 11 months, and 24 days. Right. So it was literally like, yo, couldn't have gave me 10. Like, I was literally like 10 days away from making 10. Like, yo, I was like, okay, all right, whatever.
That was a BS.
Like, yo, couldn't even give me that extra 10 days. But
so yeah, did you have any post service trauma? I guess we could call it that.
Listen, it didn't hit. It didn't hit until about 6 months after I got out, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the first 6 months you're out, okay, let's face it, like I kind of had to sit down and break down the windows, right? You got 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. Your first 30 days when you're out, it's great. You're not having to wake up in the morning to go to PT. You're not having to hear nobody's BS. Like, your life is amazing. Your life is amazing. You're on your own time. Nobody's telling you what to do. Like, you're still calling some of your boys like, I can't believe y'all gotta wake up tomorrow morning. I guess it doesn't. This DD214 is working great.
Yeah.
And then after 30 days becomes that gray area where it's kind of like, okay, so now what? Go look for a job. Okay, so life is still okay, and you're job hunting. You're figuring, okay, school. Okay, that's cool. Then the 90-day mark comes. Then that's about 3 months after you get out, and you realize that none of that stuff matters. You realize that I'm on my own. Like, there is nobody that's going to check up on me. I don't have to be at a significant place. I don't have a timeline to hit. Yo, I'm really on my own.
Yeah.
And it starts to sink in right about 90 days after. It starts to sink in right about 90 days after. Maybe for some people, it might be earlier. And you start freaking out because now you truly don't know. There is no chain of command to call and say, hey, Sergeant, like, what's the game plan? There's nobody to report up to. There's nobody to report down to. Nobody is asking about you. Nobody is calling you. Like, there's no soldiers, calling you, or no Marines calling you saying, hey, Sergeant, like, hey, I need help. I need this. You feel unwanted. You feel unheard. You feel unseen. You feel like you're a ghost because nobody's concerned about you. Even the people who you're in with, I mean, they don't have to care about you, but let's face it. Friendships in the military are like, they have a life shelf of 3 years. I mean, you still keep in contact, but like the closeness is still there, but it's frozen in time. It doesn't move forward because like even now, I got people who I'm still close with. who I was in the Marine Corps with. But our conversations center around our time in the Marine Corps.
Oh wow.
Right?
Nothing
There's
forward.
nothing, right? Like there's nothing moving forward past the Marine Corps, because our time together was spent in the Marine Corps. Our time together was spent in combat. So our conversations are centered around the past. It's not necessarily like where we are now. I mean, we're all like, they got kids, families. Like, we don't talk too much about that. Like, hey, how's little Billy? Like, no, we talk about, hey, do you remember the time? That's how our conversations are usually are. Or we will send each other memes, like military memes, right? Because that is what our relationship is based off of.
Mm-hmm.
It's not based off of the current situations. It's based off past experiences. And so you literally find yourself kind of frozen in time in those relationships. And so when you're out, there's really isn't nobody, there's no reference point. You don't, have civilian friends that you can call and say, hey, let's go hang out tomorrow. You don't. I mean, unless you've made some and you lived in an area where you hung out with some civilian folk, but truly you don't.
But even then, I noticed it's like with that of coming back home or whatnot, you could be like, yeah, let's hang out, but that shit might not happen till like 2 months from now.
True. No, for real. Like just because it is some of that stuff where it's like, where is a relevancy of us? Like, what's the conditions of us hanging out? What's the conditions of us meeting? And you literally start to, there's a depression that hits. And this is something that nobody prepares you for. There's no classes in the military that prepares you for this type of depression. This type of depression is a type that you feel rejected, you feel abandoned, and you feel like nobody cares. Because nobody's checking on you. Nobody's calling you. All your friends that you had, you're not talking to them as much anymore. Even if you have a spouse, they're trying to figure you out now because you're not the same person. You're not going to work every morning. You're home. Even when you're home, you feel like a stranger in your own home, because while you were in and you were present at home, you were there only for a certain amount of hours, and then you went to work. But now
you look forward to putting on that uniform, getting up, going to PT, coming back home, right, changing over, going back, coming back, right, for chow.
There's a set schedule, but now you're here permanently. Like, you're not going back. Like, you're here permanently. And so this starts to,
would you say it's an identity issue?
It's a huge identity issue.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we military folk identify ourselves with our rank, our uniform, and our jobs.
Well, like, yeah, because if we even break it down even more, because who knows themselves at 18? From 18 to 24, so it's just like, it's similar to the what do you call that? Like the industrial jail complex or whatnot.
Right. Yeah.
So we could call it the military industrial complex.
Right.
I guess if that's the word we want to go for it.
Right. But no. Yeah, like that makes complete sense.
Yeah. So from 18 to what average age is 24. Shit, you could do average age of like 38 to 48 when you start talking about higher enlisted, right? So it's just like, yo, that's all you know when you come out. Like you said, you don't get prepared for that due to the fact of you could go into a job interview, right? And normally within the military, you see rank, and then you see like it's ageism, right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, they're a little older, so they're higher in rank. Come to find out, it's like, yo, they probably just started the job 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense.
It's the same thing with school. Like, you're 24, haven't been to college, but now you're going to college with an 18-year-old who doesn't have the same life experience as you, and you're just like, wait, what? Like, that makes no sense. And it really is an identity crisis. You do have an identity crisis when you do get out of the military, because again, I hung up my uniform and I lost it. Like, I was like, who am I?
Yeah.
Because my name is attached to the uniform. My identity and purpose, all that is attached.
Your accolades.
everything.
Running a
Literally,
PFT, 300
literally
PFT,
everything.
CFT,
It's
expert on the
we
range, all out the
we
window.
we wear who we are on our uniform, and when we because that's what identifies us, right? We wear who we are in the military on our uniforms. Our accomplishments are on the uniforms. Our names, our badges, all that's on a uniform. That way, when somebody sees you, they already know who you are, and they can identify you by your uniform. As a civilian, you don't do that. You don't walk around saying master's degree, PhD, oh yeah, I got this tab for being a dad. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm qualified in this thing here, like
Jiu-jitsu, I'm a real estate agent. I got 20 houses
right,
I'm flipping. Yeah.
right. like you don't flex like that, right? But in the military you do. And so when you hang up your uniform and you look in the mirror, you're like, who am I without all that stuff? And you lose a sense of self. Because at 20, or I joined when I was 20, 21-ish. I turned 21 in boot camp. You barely just graduated from high school. You barely know what you want to do in life. You barely know who you are. Like you haven't formed like a full concept of self. And so, at least let me say that about me. I hadn't. Right?
Okay.
I hadn't. So being out, my whole entire adult life was spent in the military. So or my earlier adult years were spent in the military. So you hit that depression of loss of identity, and you really, like, I got suicidal, bro. Like I got suicidal to the point where I was like, yo, I need help. Like I recognized that I needed help when I no longer enjoyed what I was doing, which was literally like I just didn't enjoy life. Like I would, like my wife would go to work, I would get up, barely brush my teeth. Actually, I didn't even brush my teeth. I wouldn't eat. I would literally just get up and walk around the house in my boxers, like Al Bundy, like walk around the house, like.
Yeah.
And that started to become such a weird look for me. Like I didn't cut my hair, I didn't shave. I looked homeless inside of my own house. And it was the scariest sight because I didn't know who that person was. And I still, like, I know him better now, but I didn't know who that person was. And it took a lot of counseling. It took a lot of self-awareness training on my own. It took a lot of just tapping into my own gifts and talents, tapping into, self personal development, just doing that to get to a point where I can say, oh, okay, this is who you are without a uniform. And as life goes, I'm still dealing with that. I've been out for 4 years now, and I still catch myself thinking about, man, fantasizing about all the good times and reflecting, but in a way that's not healthy, in a way that's like I'm not present in my own life now because I'm too busy looking back and wishing that I was still in. So that's a transitional part that people don't talk about because everybody wants to focus on you get a job, you get your degrees, you going to college, you doing all that.
Yeah, you can get a house,
right.
zero
right. Everybody's
down.
trying to focus on the military benefits, on the VA benefits. Everybody's trying to like, yeah, Brian, like, hey, you go get a percentage, man. You go get a percentage up. But what's that percentage going to do for you when you don't even know who you are?
Oh, so it goes in the aspect of sustainability, right?
Right.
So we talk about sustainability with a lot of things in life. So we could probably equivalent this to like being an officer, right? So as soon as you get your degree, they be like, okay, you should be an officer. So I've been posing the question. I'm like, okay, other than money, what's the real purpose of being an officer? No one says anything. It's crickets. And it's just like, yo, I need sustainability. Like, I understand how hard the officer rank game is. I want peace at the end of the day. Like, you could throw money at somebody all day, but if they don't have genuine peace, then it's nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
Bro, that is literally why millionaires commit suicide daily. Like all this famous people commit suicide. All these famous people are trying to kill whatever it is inside of them. Like, you see somebody so strung out on drugs, like you see all all these rappers, all these. It's like you are so quick to say that you are on Percocets. You're so quick to say that you're on Adderall. You're so quick to say that you're on all these amphetamines, because you are trying to deaden that numbness inside. Like, you are trying to numb something.
Yeah.
No matter how much money you have, if you don't have peace at the end of the day, you are doing nothing but surviving and trying to numb. That's all you're doing. You're self-medicating until exactly you are self-medicating until you are no longer here. And that's, unfortunately, that's what happens also on the other side of the veteran journey, that we we talk about a 22 a day, but we truly don't understand what a 22 a day look like. We don't understand who these 22 people are. We don't understand what their journey is, what they went through, why it took them to this point where they no longer wanted to be here, and what caused it. And you can say mental issues, yeah, okay, that's cool.
That's
you can say
so
that.
broad. Like, that's broad. Mental.
Right,
Like, okay, what?
oh yeah, it's just PTSD. Unfortunately, depression, anxiety. It's like, no.
What led up to that, though?
What really led up to that? Because I realized, for me, when I lost my identity, that's when I didn't want to be here. When I felt like I lost my identity, that is literally what caused me to want to commit suicide. Because when you walk around purposeless, empty, and you don't know who you are, who wants to be that?
Yeah.
Nobody. Like, nobody wants to be that. You don't like yourself. You don't like anything around you. You don't like life, because you are literally hanging in the balance and you are unsure. The anxiety level is so high that you just want to numb. But at some point, what's the numbing gonna do? When you are already numb, but you can still feel that phantom pain, and you keep trying to numb, and now you OD. Because there is a phantom pain to being out. There's a phantom pain that nothing can numb, and you are going to OD trying to numb that, instead of going and figuring out why is that thing still there. And we see veterans often OD because, unfortunately, he took too much medication. Because he got medicated but never got fixed. That's what happened. This person gets medication to numb the pain, because that's what medication does. It eases the pain. It just numbs the nerves. It just doesn't all that. It doesn't fix the problem. It just numbs the problem. That problem still persists. And so until that problem gets fixed, all we're doing is just putting a Band-Aid on the problem, just numbing it, hoping that it goes away. But we both know it's not gonna go away. Just because you don't feel this person, or just because you don't feel your leg broken, you still know it's broken.
Yeah.
It just you're just not feeling it. You're just not feeling it. So the more you get numb, the more you don't feel it. The more you get numb, the more you don't feel it. But the body has a miraculous way of telling you that you are broken. The body has a way of recognizing being broken. The body has an amazing way of overriding medication. The body has a unique way of tapping you on the shoulder, saying, hey, you're still broke. That leg, it didn't heal. It is still broke. You just can't feel it because of the medication. And so now, because your body still wants you to survive and your brain is working on survival, it goes ahead and overrides the medication and makes you feel that pain anyway. That's why the morphine button can only work for so long. It can only work for so long until it no longer works, and now you're in pain. Now you're in agony. But this pain that I'm talking about isn't physical, it's mental. And when your body's telling you, and when your mind and when your heart is telling you you're in pain and you're broken, and you can't itch it, right? You can't scratch the itch, and now you're doing everything to scratch the itch, but it's unreachable because it's up here. What do you want to do?
You don't want to itch no more. So the best
You don't
thing to
want to
do.
itch no more.
Yeah, we'll leave it like that.
You
You
don't
don't
want
want
to
to
itch
itch
no
no
more.
more.
Right. You don't want to itch no more because it's too painful.
Mm.
And unfortunately, like the Vietnam era guys had it worse because some of those guys are still itching, and they don't feel worthy of help. So what do? Right? And so it's sad because nobody prepares you for that part. Nobody prepares you for the unscratchable itch. Nobody. Like, they don't talk about it until you get to experience it. And now you're like looking at it like, dude, like, this is me, this is my life, this is now what? And then you have to decide, okay, do I want to sit here and think about the itch that I can't scratch? Or do I want to try and live a life knowing that this itch is gonna come up every so often and I'm still not gonna be able to scratch it? But let me at least figure out a way to understand the itch. So you could choose to try to understand the itch and what's causing it, or you could try to numb it. I can only tell you that what has worked so far for me is trying to understand the itch.
Yeah.
I can't try to numb it. I tried, man, it didn't work.
Mm. What would you say as far as because I was doing research on you. You were saying that you're a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah, yeah. So you learn about people pleasing early on in life, just depending on how you're raised. So I was raised. My dad's a pastor, so I was raised in a church. And as a pastor's kid, you can't say no to people
In the
because
United
that's
States,
not
because I
God's
know you
way.
wound up moving here. So you're in the United States,
Both,
or
both.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like both in Africa and here, right? And it's like you're you're everywhere your parents are. You are in the same crowd that your parents are in. Everybody's expecting you to behave a certain way. Everybody's expecting perfection from you. And everybody's expecting you to do what the biblical right thing is, which still blows my mind. I don't know what that is, right? Which is you can't say no. You can't say no because it's not godly. If somebody needs help, you go help them. If somebody asks you for help, you give to the poor. You help until you're exhausted. So you learn this complex over time of saying no is bad. So you grow up feeling like obligated to do stuff for people. You see somebody hurting bad, hey, you go help them. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good Samaritan because you know you get to become really familiar with the Good Samaritan story in the Bible because that is the epitome of the Samaritan thing to do. And so growing up like that,
But you could give
it didn't
yourself
take too
into
long.
poverty though. Shout out to Ian Dunlap. He stated in one of his podcasts, you could give yourself into poverty.
Correct, but that's if you understand what poverty is.
True.
Because biblically, poverty is biblically poverty is the epitome of wealth, right?
Huh?
Because it's like biblically, the meek shall inherit the earth, right? You hear these scriptures being repeated, but they're being manipulated and repeated to you like, oh, you give everything you have because your wealth is stored up in heaven.
Mm.
So the Mother Teresa's, the Gandhis, the people who lived, with nothing, had everything, right? These cliches that you hear. So poverty strikes the same chord as of, oh, my riches are stored in heaven. I'm not too concerned about the money. My riches are stored in heaven. right? And this is, and you won't say you're in poverty because you're also proud. And so as a human, you won't acknowledge that you're poor, because being poor is bad. Being poor is bad. But understanding that you're poor is the only way to become wealthy. Because if you don't know that you're poor, right, then you don't know that you need to work harder or you need to do something different.
So it's a mindset.
So you have to acknowledge that, okay, hey, it is a mindset. Like, if you don't know you're sick, okay, if you don't know that you have PTSD or depression or anxiety, and all these things are happening and you're responding crazy like, but you don't know what the root cause is, and you won't acknowledge that there is a problem, guess what? You're going to continue having that problem over and over and over again until you get to the point and say, I'm sick. Something is wrong. Something doesn't seem right. Something isn't right. I need to fix whatever isn't right. But not until you're aware of it. Then you can fix it. You can't fix the problem that you don't know exists. And so if you don't know that you're poor, if you don't know that you're impoverished, like when I came to America, bro, like we lived in a trailer in Kentucky. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know, because I was comparing that to Africa, right? I was comparing that to where I just came from in a war zone. Like, so I was good. I didn't know any better. But then you grow up and you understand, like, oh, okay, that time in my life I was surviving, I wasn't thriving.
Oh, wow.
And then you get to meet people who are doing way better than you. So you can do two things. You can either work and try to get to that level, or become envious and just do nothing and just complain. And so it's like, I would rather ask, hey, can you show me how to do what you're doing, or how you got to where you, I don't want to do what you're doing. Just show me what it took for you to understand that you need to do something different. Like, help me understand myself a little bit better. So that's literally what I started doing. Understanding myself a little bit better, understanding that me people pleasing is going to put me in a situation where I am broke. Because people pleasing does not equal godliness. People pleasing equals pain, agony, and depression and anxiety. Right?
Yeah.
Right? That is because even in business, I was hurting in business because, as you know, as a barber, I didn't want somebody to walk in and I couldn't help them. So here I am double booking myself for the sake of getting that person in. Right. So my client will show up. I have somebody already in a chair. Now my client has to wait an extra 20 minutes. My client has things to do.
Yeah, especially if
So
they book
this
the
dude is waiting
appointment.
on. Exactly. So now they're having to wait because, oh, this dude walked in and he said he needed a haircut, and I don't want nobody to not get a haircut. So let me go ahead and slide him in, even though I knew damn well I probably shouldn't have. I only have 15 minutes. I know I don't do 15-minute cuts. So I went ahead and slid the person in anyway. So now I just lost 2 people because I rushed on this person's haircut. It's terrible. My client's pissed. He's leaving. Just lost 2 clients because I couldn't stop my own people pleasing, right? And it took enough of that stuff to happen as a barber for me to see that that's what I was doing, for me to say, okay, when somebody comes in, even if I have 30 minutes, I'm just going to say no. I can't get you in, because I don't want to chance for somebody who took their time to book to lose, for them to get here and their seat that they reserved is not available.
Yeah.
And so I had to up my price. I had to do different things for me to hold myself accountable.
Ooh.
And that's what that whole people pleasing complex, like as a recovering people pleaser, that's what I'm learning now in business and also in life. Because then I would also tell my wife, hey, I'll be home at this time. She would say, hey, we got plans this Saturday to go to somewhere, blah, 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 Friday, whatever, at 5 o'clock. Okay, bet I'll be home by 4. Somebody walks in at 3:30. The people pleaser in me says, man, I got to get this person.
That'd be an extra $15 to $30 in your pocket too.
Right. But knowing that I got to be at home by 4, So that means like the cleanup time, all that stuff.
Oh
What
yeah.
do I do? Right. So now I'm showing up. We're late to our booked event. My wife's pissed. Now my life is starting to look a little shady because I'm telling her one thing, I'm showing her a different thing, and now there's conflict.
But you got $30 in your pocket.
That don't mean nothing to a mad woman.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, you a gigolo or what? It's like, I'm playing.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I was like, hey, you know, my OnlyFans hasn't picked up. No, I'm kidding. No, it's just like, you know, I got to do something different. It's like posting my ugly feet online ain't doing it right now. So, you know, so like that whole people pleasing complex, like you got to understand that is killing your business. If you are a recovering people pleaser like me, that is killing your business, and that is killing your relationships because you don't want to start no fights.
Yeah.
You can't check nobody if you're a people pleaser. You let people walk all over you, use you and abuse you, and you can't say no. So now you are secretly resenting these people who you call friends.
Did that hinder, like, have anything to play with in your relationship with your wife? With you being a people pleaser? As far as like you and her.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like what? Like her walking over you? Time.
No, just more so like not knowing where my boundaries are with people. Because then if I'm telling like my boys like, hey, let's go hang out, but knowing that my wife also got something planned for us, what's that look like? Right? And I'm already working six days a week. How am I gonna spend time at home if I'm trying to, you know, stay out with the boys for the sake of staying out with the boys because they wanted to go hang out?
Yeah.
So having to turn invitations down, like, okay, like, and then also in, you know, in that dynamic, as you mentioned, it's like when your default is to people please, you become a liar because you were telling somebody something for this. You do, because you're telling somebody something for the sake of them not rejecting you. So you are willing to forego the truth so that you don't get rejected. So your wife asks you something, you don't want her to be mad. Yeah, no, I didn't do that. Or yeah, I did that. Knowing damn well you didn't or didn't. Because you don't want to get in a fight.
Yeah.
So you lie a little because it's kind of like yeah. But then you feel the wrath of that later, or you have your own feelings that you don't want to share because you don't want to offend nobody. There's that. That's gonna ruin your friendships and your relationships all day long.
Cause you're trying to stretch yourself out like your goddamn Semper Gumby and shit.
Stretch yourself too thin, man.
Yeah.
Stretch yourself too thin, and wonder why nothing's working out. That's why.
That was a very good topic. Being a liar, being a people pleaser, you're really being a liar. Wow.
And you don't even know it.
Yeah. I guess my last thing I wanted to go over you with was well, I'll let you pick. So I seen that. I seen two things. So we can either talk about both or one. One is either being an edified coach or black bearded men reading.
Okay, so let me talk about. I'll hit both in the next 60 seconds. So edified coaching, pretty much it's something that I started about 2 years ago after I got certified as a personal development coach with Eric Thomas and Associates. So ET the hip hop preacher, he's the one that certified us. And then so
congrats.
So like I did it, I appreciate that. So like I went through his course, did that, and I wanted something to stand out. I wanted something that just meant helping people reach a higher level. So edify means educating, teaching, and instruct, like showing other people how to do something. So, or uplifting others. So that's why I went with that name. With edified coaching, which now also my barbering business is edified grooming. And then as far as the BBMR, the bearded black men read. That started on Clubhouse. These brothers, these black dudes I've never met in my whole entire life. Kind of like this conversation, like we've never met. We met that back in December. Hold on, yeah. So like we met back in December, and it started off with one of the guys holding a room that he would read to somebody he knew, because she was like, hey, can you read me this page or this chapter or whatever. So I seen it, I was like, well, I'm black, I'm bearded, so let me hop in this room. It was only like 5 people, and I'm just listening, and he calls me up. He's like, hey, do you want to read something? I was like, sure. I mean, I'm on Clubhouse, why not?
Yeah.
And then somebody else jumped in like a couple weeks later, and then it started growing. Like it started growing to the point where we started holding, we got structured. We started holding 2 rooms a week, Thursdays and Sundays. It's got to the point where now we've gotten sponsored by Scotch Porter, the beer company. There's other things that we're doing, and it started just snowballing into something fun, but that was that's now starting to create a residual income. And so it's been great. And that's literally so now we're actually doing Zooms on Thursday nights, where you buy a $25 ticket, and we do the same thing, but just on Zoom, where it's like we're live. But it's a whole lot more interactive, it's a whole lot more exciting. But that I mean, that's definitely the whole rundown of Big Mark.
Okay, man.
Said
Hey,
least.
well, shout out. I know you gotta get out of here. Gotta get back to the wifey. But shout out your social medias, your websites, any upcoming stuff that you got going on. Shout all that stuff out. The floor is yours. Promote your businesses.
But I appreciate that. So right now, what I got going on, I got a community that I'm building right now. It's called Pathfinders, and I kind of borrowed that from the military. Just being a Pathfinder. I was never a Pathfinder, but I thought it was a great concept.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what it stands for in my group is P stands for pursuing, A stands for authenticity through healing, right? So PATH, Pathfinder. So we are literally a group of people who just don't want to be mediocre. We want to be better and better on a daily basis, but we understand that healing is a key to being better on a daily basis. Healing from your traumas, healing from your own stuff, healing from your own doing. Stop getting in your own way. Stop people pleasing. Healing from that makes your life a whole lot better. So pursuing authenticity through healing, and honestly, you can't be authentic unless you've healed those parts of you. And so that community is coming up starting next month. And there's going to be a whole lot more things that's in that community. Like there's a course that I just got done developing. There's another course I just got done writing, which is Zero Gap, which is literally for it stands for Zone of Genius, relationship building, optimization, growth, awareness, and paradigm shift. And so those 2 things are coming this summer. It sounds like a movie coming to you this summer. And then so I got those 2 things happening. So if anybody wants to join, hit me up in the DMs. It is a paid community. The Pathfinders is going to be a paid community, because I did a run through during the pandemic. It was a free community, but it grew. It grew like crazy. It was great. So I was like, okay, I can no longer do this for free. So I was like, hey, we got to get paid. So so me and my team been diligently working on that. My IG, it's Theo Brown.t. I promote myself, but I'm kind of just like, if you're gonna find the right people, those who are for me are gonna find me.
Yeah, you're a maven. You might be a maven out here.
Really how it kind of running now. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm the IG coach. No, I'm lying. I'm not that. I'm just a guy who's trying to make a difference, man, for real.
Yeah. Well, but you want to promote your barbershop, get some heads in, or you already got too many clients?
Listen, I'm booked, man. No, man, I got, I got, man. There's a lot. Um, Probably be moving soon to another location. So, because I'm offering different services. I'm not just a barber. It's like barbering is not just that. I'm in a people industry, so understanding people and knowing how to work with people. Um, it's taught me a lot about the needs of the people. So offering services that people actually need versus just able to cut hair. Like I just don't want to do that. So I'm doing a lot other stuff that doesn't include hair. But Edified Grooming, it's in Pooler, Georgia. Check it out. It's not a brick and mortar yet, but it will be probably within the next 24 months. Who knows? I don't know. But it's coming soon too. So
Okay.
yeah, there's that.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you for being on the podcast. I really appreciate that. That's really a really dope and deep
I appreciate you,
conversation
man.
on mental health. I really,
I
really,
appreciate you, bro. For real.
yeah. Yeah. So yes, I appreciate you for being on. It's your boy Troubles in the building. If you want to cop any merch, unpredictablethoughts2.com. Keep that same energy. You know we all about sustainment, baby. Peace.